الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
I don't wanna write this down. I wanna tell you how I feel right now. I don't wanna take no time to write this down. I wanna tell you how I feel right now. Hey, tomorrow may never come. For you or me, life is not promised. Tomorrow may never show up. For you and me, this life is not promised. I ain't no perfect man, I'm trying to do the best that I can with what it is I have. I ain't no perfect man, I'm trying to do the best that I can with what it is I have. Put my heart and soul to this song. Yes, yes. I hope you feel me from where I am to wherever you are. I mean Action City. Tomorrow may never come. For you and me, life is not promised. Tomorrow may never appear. You better hold this very moment, very close to you right now. Very close to you right now. So close to you right now. So close to you. Don't be afraid to let it shine. My woman said, shine your light on the world. Shine your light for the world to see. My hobby said, shine your light on the world. Shine your light for the world to see. My hobby said, shine your light on the world. Shine your light for the
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Living Islam Today here on 96.1 FM and 900 AM on your FM dial. Telephone numbers, I want to definitely give those out early. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065 or toll free at 1-866-361-0900. That is the toll free number for you to call in. Before I even open up with prayer, I must say that I think we have the best producer here, my main man, Mike. Mike did a great job because we were trying to figure out for this very special show that we're doing today, how do we bring in our brother Habib that's in London right now. He lives in London. He's 5 hours ahead of us, and we wanted to be able to connect them here on Facebook Live. So he's going to be joining us. So I'm so excited about that. Once again, everyone, welcome to Living Islam. This is a presentation of Ahmed Media Company. I am Jihad Ahmed. Today's date is September the 12th. It is also the 23rd day of Muharram. The weather outside is very, very beautiful. It's 75 degrees, so take an opportunity, go outside, put your gloves on, put your mask on, go outside and enjoy some of this fresh air and that beautiful weather that is out there. To everyone that has been making Cash App donations to help support the show, Living Islam Today, we thank you, we thank you, we thank you tremendously. Thus far, we have raised enough money to have us on the air until December. We have raised enough money, so we are so very happy. So to everyone that has cashed out us $5, $10, $100, $500, every little bit counts. We thank you so much. My telephone number where you can reach me, because someone said that they wanted to get in contact with me and they wanted to mail in a donation. You can mail it out to Living Islam Today. That's Living Islam Today. Make the check or money order. Call me up at 267-718-8986. That's 267-718-8986. The address to where you can send that check or money order is 2417 Wharton Street. That's 2417 Wharton Street, Philadelphia, PA 19146. And for those that would like to Cash App, please do. That's $ radio, RAIDO, Islam. That's $ RADIO ISLAM. So that's how you can get in contact with us. We pray and we ask Almighty God Allah to bless us with a very good show today. We are Muslims and we are very happy to be Muslims, and we have a very, very exciting show for everyone today. Before we get to our guests, we have to go and pay some bills. So on the other side, we're going to be joined with our brother that is 5 hours ahead of us in London. He's going to be joining us on Skype. So stay tuned. You're listening and watching Living Islam Today. We'll be right back.
Nearly 26% of Philadelphia's population live below the poverty line in 2017. There's an increasing share of residents struggling to cover the most fundamental necessities. On a national level, Philadelphia was among the highest with poverty rates. Muslim Serve's mission is to develop and implement programs addressing food insecurity in collaboration with local community partners. Fundamentally, Muslim Serve strives to uplift those in our community by providing free, hot, nutritious meals. This is done by partnering with a variety of local community organizations and establishments with the goal to bring comfort to those in need and to relieve hunger in our area, no matter who they are. Veterans, students, people with disabilities, single parents, senior citizens, working class families, and children. Muslim Serve can be reached by phone at 833-486-4370 or by email at info@muslimserve.org. Learn more about Muslim Serve and what they do on their website, muslimserve.org, and on their social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Muslim Serve. You're listening to Living Islam Today, an Ahmed Media Company project on Word Radio, 900 AM and 96.1 FM.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon and welcome back to Living Islam Today here on 96.1 FM and also 900 AM on your FM dial. If you are joining us right now and you're on the Facebook Live page, we thank you so very much to everyone, Sister Imani, Imam Hanif, everyone that is joining us. We thank you for joining us. If you have your questions and you do not want to call in, you can type your questions in and I will try my best to answer your questions on the Facebook Live page. This portion of the show is being brought to you in part by Muslim Serves. Muslim Serves is responsible for feeding humanity across the tri-state area, definitely here in the city of Philadelphia. And stay tuned because we're having a mega food giveaway next month. Details will come as we get much closer, but South Philly, we're going to show you some love and giving out an abundance of food and other things sponsored by Muslim Serves. Now, I've been blessed throughout the years to conduct many interviews and did fairly good job with most of the interviews, I like to think. This particular interview and this particular subject, I'm going to say, is something that I had butterflies in my stomach for all 3 weeks that we were planning to do this show, because it was a topic that for so many years we were taught that it was taboo to talk about sex in Islam. It was taboo to talk about foreplay in Islam. It was taboo to discuss pleasuring each other. And I wanted to do this conversation, and thanks to Sister Imani, who helped connect me with our brother who's joining us right now from London, Brother Habib Akandi. She helped us put this show together. She gave me his information, and I reached out to our brother, and we've been emailing and texting each other back and forth. So he's going to be our guest today. He's an author. He's a sex educator. He graduated and studied in Al-Azhar University. He lives in London, England, and he's joining us today. And he has two of his fantastic books that we've been putting up on social media throughout the week. One is called A Taste of Honey, a sexual and erotomology, that's a word right there, in Islam. And the other one, Kunyaza, The Secret to Female Pleasure. So we'd like to welcome here, for the very first time with us, our brother, Habib Akande. Assalamu alaikum, my brother, and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, brother Jihad. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you? How are you?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. I'm amazing. Thank you for asking, brother. Thank you for the invite.
No, thank you, man. I know that the time there is 10:13 p.m., and we thank you, man, for making the opportunity and staying up a little late with us today, man. Here, day for us and nighttime for you.
I mean, it's my pleasure. I mean, with lockdown, well, we're kind of like in lockdown in the UK, so there's not much for me to do outside, to be honest. So I'm just happy that you've invited me to be on your show.
I'm happy that this is the first time on Living Islam Today that we ever, we normally have guests in the studio, but the restrictions here in the studio, we can't have guests come in, and you're all the way in London, England. But we have you joining us on, you're on Skype, man, so the people can actually see us live right now on Facebook. So alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah for technology. Thank you for having Skype, and thank our wonderful producer Mike in the studio that was able to put it together all the way down to the very beginning of the show. He said, "Don't worry, Jihad, I got it." I said, "Mike, I trust you." So you're with us.
Alhamdulillah.
Now, I want to get right into it, man. People have been texting. They have been calling. Some people said, don't do that show. Don't talk about sex. Don't talk about the secret to female pleasure. Don't talk about squirting. Don't talk about penises. And I said, well, we're going to talk about it because these are the things that need to be talked about. Last night I had an opportunity to be a witness for a wedding, a nikah that took place last night, and one of the things that the imam said after giving out the rules and the regulations, how the man should treat the woman and how he should be kind and those type of things, he said, brother, talk to your wife about sex. Let her know what you like and how you like it. And he said, sister, the same to you. Let your husband know how you like it, and so on and so forth. And I was like, wow. We're talking about sex and love and pleasurement and relationships on the radio today. And I just thought that was a heck of a coincidence right there, man. And I want to, first of all, just ask you, these two books that you wrote, like, did you get a lot of criticism when you decided that you wanted to do the research and write these two particular books, A Taste of Honey and Kunyaza, The Secret to Female Pleasure?
There has been some criticism and some backlash, but it's predominantly the criticism I've received predominantly from either men or people who haven't read the book. And I think one of the criticisms that a number of men, especially some religious men, have raised is that I shouldn't be speaking about sex and intimacy and female pleasure. And I think one of the reasons is because, unfortunately, a lot of men, especially a lot of religious men in our community, want to control female sexuality, and we're more than happy to speak about male pleasure and the importance of women satisfying their husband's needs. But when someone is speaking about the importance of men satisfying women's needs, all of a sudden a lot of men don't really want to hear about it. Even though that we've got precedent in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when there were numerous hadiths where he spoke about the importance of men satisfying their wives in the bedroom. He acknowledged women's right to sexual pleasure. The scholars at length spoke about the importance of men satisfying women, and even said that women have a right to divorce if she's not sexually satisfied in the bedroom. So it's an important topic. And not only even sex itself, but sexual pleasure. And I think we should speak about sexual pleasure, sexual satisfaction, because many people are having sex, but not many people are enjoying sex. And if I'm honest with you, there are a lot of women who are suffering in silence. There are a lot of women who are having sex, obviously in marriage or what have you, but not many women are enjoying sex. And a lot of that is because a lot of men are either ignorant, lazy, or selfish in the bedroom. And I think this is something which a lot of the early Muslim scholars spoke at great length about, and encouragement to make sure that they're attentive to their wives' needs, that they speak to their wives, like you mentioned that the Imam said in the masjid that you went to. But for whatever reason, a number of Muslim men do not really want to talk about it and feel uncomfortable about this subject. And there are also a number of women, unfortunately, who do not feel that they are entitled to pleasure. It's this idea that sex is either for procreation or it's for man's pleasure, when in reality, sex, from an Islamic perspective, it's a pleasurable act that should be enjoyed by both the man and the woman. It's not that the man has superiority over the woman when it comes to the bedroom. So I know there is a lot of reservations and a lot of people that are uncomfortable with the subjects, but I would just say, for the benefit of anyone who's listening, you probably have to get used to being uncomfortable, because this is a timely topic, it's an important topic, it's one which our early Muslim scholars and the Prophet ﷺ and the companions were comfortable to speak about, obviously in a respectful manner, but in an open, honest situation. So I don't see why, if we've got precedent with the early Muslims that we look up to and we aspire to be like, and speak about this topic, why we should feel any way embarrassed or ashamed or feel that this subject is a taboo. Because again, we're speaking, I'm sure, primarily to adults. So this is a topic that, again, I think is important because it's one of our human rights as well to speak about it, and also our God-given right to speak about the importance of sexual pleasure within the confines of marriage.
You know, when you were doing your research to write both of these books, you know, early on you mentioned that previous scholars have wrote in great length and detail in Arabic, and they spoke about, you know, giving pleasurement to your wife and ejaculation and all those type of things. You know, we don't find for our Islamic community, we don't find a lot of these topics. We don't find a lot of these books, and you definitely don't have a lot of these talks within our houses of worship. Why is that? I mean, because you took a very bold stand to write, in particular, these two books. Why don't we have more books that are talking about this? Because, as you said, the pleasurement of sex is something that both should enjoy, not just the man.
Yeah, I think it's because there are a number of reasons. One, I think since when the Europeans colonized much of the Muslim world and Africa, we adopted a Victorian Christian attitude in terms of looking at sex being something that's dirty, being something that's nasty, being something that's just for procreation. So sex was seen as very taboo, even within the confines of marriage, whereas a lot of the early Muslims, prior to the colonization of the Europeans of much of the Muslim world, we didn't have the attitude. So and that's why many scholars were able to speak openly and freely about this. Unfortunately, since the 19th century, many Muslims, like I said, have adopted this Eurocentric Victorian understanding about sex being dirty and something which you shouldn't even talk about. And sex is not pleasurable, it's just about sex for procreation. So that's why I think, unfortunately, many of our scholars are uncomfortable to even speak about this topic, even though they have got access to many of the works of the early scholars, like Imam al-Suyuti, who I'm sure many people are aware of, who was a 15th century Egyptian scholar who wrote many books on hadith, seerah, tafsir of the Quran, many books that have been translated into English, but he also wrote over 23 books on the topic of eretology, which is the study of desire and sexual relations. So he wrote a lot of books speaking about beauty. He actually wrote an interesting book about colorism as well, which many people aren't aware of. He spoke about female pleasure, he spoke about the art of sex, and he spoke about a lot of things that would make a lot of people, a lot of Muslims today blush. You know, so, and a lot of the early Muslim scholars, they took from the likes of the Kama Sutra and other Asian Indian works on eretology to speak about how we can speak about this topic, but from an Islamic or Muslim perspective kind of thing. And the scholars at the time and a number of the thinkers and poets, they served as, like you could say, the social thinkers or the social commentators of the day, talking about the different aspects of sex and how do you cultivate desire in a long-term relationship? How do you awaken desire? How do you sustain desire? What are the things that a man looks for in a woman? What are the things that the woman looks for in a man? They spoke very candidly and explicitly about many of these topics. So again, there are numerous reasons, like I said, why I think a lot of men today, religious men, are uncomfortable to speak about it. And again, to be honest with you, because a lot of men, like I mentioned earlier, I think are enjoying sex and not only having sex, it doesn't serve them for them to speak about it. Whereas a lot of women, unfortunately, who aren't being satisfied in the bedroom, and because of a lot of shame and stigma that's attached to a woman, if she were to speak about this topic, sometimes it might require some men to speak about it on behalf of women so other men can listen. Because unfortunately, because a lot of men, we've got our ego, we don't want to, unfortunately, many of us listen to women, only if they hear it from maybe a man that they respect, like some of the early scholars, or like the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then they'll listen to it. Whereas a lot of women have been speaking about this for many years. So this is not something new that, I'm raising. It's just that I'm bringing it out into the public consciousness for, hopefully for many men as well to kind of pay heed to this.
Now, I'm going to tell you this. I had a sister inbox me 2 weeks ago, and she said, you need to have a show, and you need to talk about the fact that men are marrying more than one wife, and she didn't even touch on the financial aspect of it. She just went straight on and said she's point blank not being satisfied in her marriage. And she's had conversations numerous times with her husband and still nothing. She even suggested that they go to a sex therapist to get counseling on this matter, because that's a right that she has, and she doesn't feel like that aspect of the marriage is being fulfilled for her. Yet and still, her husband has went out and took another wife.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. And again, that's why when I mentioned earlier in the show, and I said I was speaking about the importance of sexual pleasure and sexual satisfaction as opposed to just speaking solely about sex, because there are a number of men who are thinking, because I'm having sex with my wife, I'm fulfilling her rights. Like I'm having sex with her every couple of days, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But are you satisfying her? Is she being pleasured? And obviously, how would you know that? It's by checking in on her. It's by asking. It's by, like you mentioned what the Imam said earlier, by asking to see what turns her on, what she desires. And because a lot of men, unfortunately, our sexual script, and we have to be open here and honest, we've learned about sex either by way of pornography or by way of Hollywood movies or by way of just men speaking amongst themselves. And we know a lot of men, when we speak amongst ourselves about sex, there's a lot of bravado, there's a lot of exaggeration. When people speak about sex, when they hear about sex, it's just about penetration. So men's concern is about how strong, how big he is, how long he can last in the bedroom, when there's studies that have shown that most women don't experience orgasm by way of penetrative intercourse. There was a large study that said only about 25% of women frequently experience an orgasm by way of penetrative intercourse. But because of our sexual education, it's just been primarily focused on pleasure, on intercourse, and that's what we think about when we're thinking about sex. I can see how a man could be married to a woman, have penetrative sex. She's maybe had obviously some children, so in his mind, he's satisfying in the bedroom. But if he hasn't facilitated an environment where you can have an open and honest conversation with her, and she can open up and tell her about her needs, he wouldn't be none the wiser. So there are many women who are unfortunately disgruntled, who are unsatisfied in the bedroom, and there are many men who are unaware because they haven't even haven't had that conversation. There are a number of women, unfortunately, who message myself and other sex educators about this issue. And then the first question is, when we're asking, have you spoke to your husband? The answer is no. And then how men are mind readers as much as, and I'm not saying men are all bad or men are all naturally selfish or lazy in the bedroom. They wouldn't know unless, but unfortunately we've created an environment and a culture where women don't feel comfortable and open to even speak about their sexual desires, even with their partner. So it's the thing where a lot of women feel they just have to either fake orgasms, fake pleasure, just lie, like there's an expression in England that you just lie back and think of England, just let him do his deeds, finish after a couple of minutes and then roll over and then just go to sleep. And this is real and honest conversation that we need to be having in the bedroom. I mean, in the public sphere, because many women went to the Prophet ﷺ and they spoke about their husband not pleasuring them in the bedroom. And these were not bad men. I'm not saying that men who are not satisfying women in the bedroom are. These are good men. These were pious Muslims. These even might be leaders of the community. But in the realm of sexual satisfaction, they were falling short. So again, there's a lot of education that needs to be done, and then there's a lot of unlearning that needs to be had with both men and women alike. I think with men, they need to be educated. I think with women, we need to create a space where women feel entitled and about that. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Your mic had went out for a minute.
Yeah, sorry. Someone just called me, so I just disconnect that. So I'm just saying we need to create a space where women feel entitled and empowered to sexual pleasure rather than thinking that it's solely for the man's benefit. Because I think that's one of the issues, because I think a lot of women want to enjoy sex, but they're not given the opportunity to actually enjoy it in their bedrooms, which is unfortunate.
Right. I mean, I take back and I think about, you know, how I learned about sex. You know, as a young teenager, I remember here in America, we had a sex therapist, very famous white woman by the name of Dr. Ruth. And I remember as a child, late at night, watching Dr. Ruth. I also remember as a child watching what we would consider today to be soft porn, HBO, whereas though you saw man and a woman making out, having sex. That was initially my experience of learning about sex. No one had a conversation with me and said, well, you know, this is not even about the safety aspect of it. I'm talking about just how to approach sex. No one never really had that conversation with me. And you find that there's really no one talking about it. So you have people getting married today, both young and old, and, you know, with the boundaries in Islam, you know, how can man and women, you know, have those conversations? If you have a fiance and, you know, you're about to get married, you know, you got to have some type of dialogue about the things that, you know, you want to have and the things that you like and the things that she likes and she's looking for. Correct?
No, I agree. I think, I mean, I'm similar in the sense of I didn't learn about sex from a relatively young age from having formal conversations with my parents. It was by my older cousins and my uncles who were quite young, put me up on game, put it that way, and just having open and honest conversations with me. It was by seeing even the music, if I'm honest, the music of like R&B of I'm showing my age, obviously being in my mid-30s, but the music of the late 90s, early noughties was different to the music today, where it's about pleasuring a woman. And then the music of the 80s that my dad used to listen to. Whereas the music of today, it's more, I don't know if it's more vulgar, but it's just more straight up. It's not about pleasuring a woman. So for a man going into any relationship, whether it's by way of marriage or what have you, coming from that environment, the onus was on you to satisfy a woman. Whereas now, it's just like, it's all about quantity as opposed to quality. You're just thinking about without obviously being a bit too graphic and vulgar. It's just about having sex, doing what you need to do, and then going about your business. So, and I think with men as well, even with women as well, we learn by osmosis, as in we learn about things especially about sex, by our environment. Many men are not going to pick up a book, even though I wrote my book targeting men. A lot of men I know are not going to pick up my book and read it. They will learn about sex and be educated by way of infographics, by way of entertainment, by way of the music, by way of the culture, by way of conversations. Even if we were to talk about the G-spot, which everyone is aware of, it was this quote-unquote discovered in 1982 or the early 80s. People knew about it because it was popularized in popular culture, because it was spoken about in hip-hop, it was spoken about in films. That's how people knew about it. Then they started to research about it. But many people didn't know about the G-spot by way of academia. And the same way when we talk about other sexual acts and sexual positions, again, popular culture, I think, has a lot of currency in terms of educating people. But unfortunately, in popular culture of today in the Western world, it doesn't really talk about the reality of sexual pleasure, especially female sexual pleasure, and how to turn a woman on and what a woman enjoys in order to experience an orgasm. It's just about the male gaze and what men like, which is, you know, penetrative intercourse, heart thrust in, and then, you know, and then they both will experience an orgasm, which is, again, is unrealistic. But that's what has educated many people. So it's about having, like I said, open and honest conversations, whether some people might need premarital counseling. Some people, if they've got parents who are open to talk about it, they can educate them. There are, you know, sex educators. There are Muslim sex educators as well that many people, I know you interviewed Dr. Shakira a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Sister Angelica Lindsay Ali as well, who's doing phenomenal work. There are many Muslim sex educators in America as well as in Europe that are speaking about this, but unfortunately, they are not given the platform to speak. So I do want to thank you again for allowing me to speak. But this isn't a new topic. It's not a topic where there's few people that are qualified. There's many people that are qualified to speak, but unfortunately, we don't give those people the platform to speak about about such sensitive topic in a way that can benefit the community.
This book in particular, Kunyaza, The Secret to Female Pleasure, very good, very interesting book, and a book that I believe that both men and women should get this book because it breaks down. Well, I'll let you talk about the book. You wrote the book.
Okay, yeah. So Kunyaza, The Secret to Female Pleasure is it's like you could say, it's a sex guide, a love guide to an Asian African practice called Kunyaza, which involves a man using his erect penis to stimulate the woman's clitoris and vulva area in order to elicit ejaculation and or squirting. It's a practice that's been practiced by a number of Africans for hundreds of years, and I wanted to not only shed light about the practice, but also about the culture of Kunyaza, which originates from Rwanda and East Central Africa, where it's a female pleasure positive culture where the onus is on the man to pleasure the woman, and women are not shamed to experience ejaculation, or I know it's commonly called squirting nowadays. And what I wanted to do as well is I wanted to highlight the contributions that Black and African people have made towards sex and sexuality, because that's something that we don't always hear about. The same way with A Taste of Honey, I wanted to raise awareness about the Muslim contribution, and many of the Muslim scholars who wrote about erotology and sexology were of Arab descent. I wanted to speak about the contributions that Black people and Black women have made towards sex and sexuality, because you don't really hear about that. When you think about positive contribution by Black people towards like romance, sex, you don't really think about, not many things come to mind. So that's why when I came across this Kunyaza tradition, and not only the technique itself, but the culture around it, and the fact that it's a tradition that is started by women and is taught by other women, and it's something that's still preserved. I wanted to kind of shed light on this and raise awareness to how Black people and Africans have got something that even modern people can kind of contribute towards, can understand the concept. So.
How long was your research to write Kunyaza? How much research, how much time did you put into writing this book?
Yeah, so Kunyaza, I found out about it on the 8th of August 2016, and the reason why I remember 8th of August, the specific day, is because that's International Female Orgasm Day. I received an email from a reader who was asking me, because I wrote a previous book about African erotology, and they asked me why did I mention Kunyaza? And I said I wasn't aware of Kunyaza. I did my Googles. I was blown away by this, this tradition and this rich African culture. And then I started doing my research. I reached out to Olivier Jourdain, who was the director of the Kunyaza documentary called Sacred Water. It's a very good documentary. I reached out to a couple of Sengas. That's the name for an African female sex educator. It took me about a year and a half. It didn't take me that long in comparison to my previous work, like A Taste of Honey, which took me over 10 years, because obviously I'm going through Quran, Hadith, Tafsir, and many scholars have said, whereas Kunyaza, to be honest, maybe because it was my sixth book, so I kind of wanted to make it very straightforward and easy to read, whereas my previous books are kind of written more in the form of an academic textbook, which I think I didn't want to do with Kunyaza, because with A Taste of Honey, it came out 5 years ago, but a lot of people are just discovering it now because of Kunyaza, because I think Kunyaza is very easy to read. It's very straightforward, whereas A Taste of Honey, because I'm looking at the history of erotology and what different Muslim scholars have said about different topics, a lot of people got lost in it, and a lot of people haven't actually read all of it, which I understand, because it's quite a thick book to read, over 300 plus pages or so.
Yes,
whereas Kunyaza is very straightforward to read, and it's and then again, when people hear squirting, it's just like, okay, what is this about? And Kunyaza was kind of written mainly for a wider demographic. I wasn't writing specifically for a Muslim audience, whereas A Taste of Honey was primarily catered towards a Muslim audience. So obviously, by catering towards a wider demographic, I just wanted to make it accessible to as much people as possible, and then again just highlight the contributions that Africans and other sex educators have made, speaking about the Kunyaza practice. But it didn't take me that long, maybe like a year and a bit.
Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. I got the books in the mail. I think last Thursday. So I'm skimming through A Taste of Honey, because it is a very thick book. It's a very thick book. Yeah. It's like a very scholarly book. But the Kunyaza book is like a very easy read. It's only like 149, 150 pictures, and it was much easier because, when you see the title of A Taste of Honey was alluring, but the Kunyaza one was like, okay, The Secret to Female Pleasure. Okay, You start thinking like, oh, I got to have this. You need this book. You got to know certain things in this book. So for you, which of the books have you found that have been more beneficial to helping married couples?
That is a great question. It's actually Kunyaza. Even for Muslim, it's Kunyaza, but I thought it would be A Taste of Honey. And the reason being is, like what you've outlined, is that Kunyaza is easy to read. It's easy for people to take away from it. A Taste of Honey, there's very few people that have understood A Taste of Honey, because most people probably have read a quarter of it, if that, because they can't. And the reason being as well, because A Taste of Honey was my first book on sex, and I'm writing again to a Muslim audience, I knew that there'll be a lot of reservations. So that's why I wanted to make sure I'm quoting various what other scholars have said, doing a full deep dive into the subject.
Yes.
Whereas with a Kunyaza, it was like, no, let me just write a practical guide. I'm not trying to legitimize that this has got some credence from an Islamic perspective. I'm just writing a sex guide. So, but in terms of who is benefited from it more, I was like, in terms of married couples, definitely Kunyaza. Like, in terms of the sales, it's through the roof, particularly in the United States. It was on the Amazon bestseller list for sex books for the last couple of weeks. So it's doing really well, and I'm getting a lot of rave reviews from Kunyaza. And I'm somewhat perplexed, because I'm thinking, A Taste of Honey I put everything into A Taste of Honey. Like, the amount of, and Kunyaza was just very easy to write, but it was like, in terms of what I'm more happy with, in terms of from a prideful perspective, is A Taste of Honey. But again, if that's not what connects with people for different reasons, even when I look at it, the subtitle, I probably didn't do myself any favors, because, like you said, A Taste of Honey, I think it's a beautiful title, and even the story behind it is from an Arabic expression which the Prophet ¡SAW used, called dhuq al-usayla, meaning taste the honey, and he used it when a woman was asking, when she was complaining about her husband not being able to satisfy in the bedroom, and he said, do you taste his honey, and does he taste your honey? Meaning, have you consummated the marriage? Because the husband had either a small penis, the scholar said, or he was impotent. So I wanted to use that hadith as like an example of where the Prophet ﷺ acknowledged women's right to female pleasure. He didn't rebuke her. He even smiled when she used that beautiful euphemism. And again, it's a wonderful expression. And A Taste of Honey being a metaphor to refer to either a taste of knowledge or a taste of sexual intercourse. But where I lost, I think, a lot of people was the subtitle. When people see erotology, many people are like, what is that? If I use the word sexology, I think that would have been clearer. But I wanted to use erotology as opposed to sexology, because erotology refers to the study of desire and sex. Eros coming from the ancient Greek word passionate love, eros. So that's why I wanted to, and it's not just speaking about the mechanics of sex, it's speaking about the ethics, because the book speaks about sexual ethics as well. And touching on what you said, the previous sister mentioned to you before about a man that's married that wants to marry another wife. As Muslims, I think we get bogged down into halal and haram, not without appreciating the importance of sexual ethics. There's things that could be halal, but you shouldn't do it because it's not the best course of action. And that's what I wanted to highlight with A Taste of Honey. So in terms of a book which I'm more proud of, and in terms of which truly reflects my research and things, it's A Taste of Honey. But in terms of delivering the message, Kunyaza is more effective. And that's something which maybe if I write other books in the future, I will kind of bear that in mind, that sometimes the same way for having a conversation, it's not about speaking to people that you're speaking using all of these crazy words that they don't know what you're talking about. And it's not that I was trying to intentionally bamboozle people with A Taste of Honey, but I knew that there'll be a lot of pushback with the book. So I wanted to make sure the book as a standalone book it can answer many people's criticism or questions about what scholars said this, where's references with this particular hadith X, Y, Z. Whereas Kunyaza, I didn't do that. It was just very straightforward, simplistic. This is a technique. This is a little bit. I did do some research, don't get me wrong, but like you said, it's just fairly easy to read. And I think in terms of the messaging and the effectiveness, Kunyaza is definitely more effective and more beneficial probably to people, whereas Kunyaza is a book that maybe sex educators and sex therapists or people that are in that field will appreciate more. So I've been invited to give academic conferences like in France and in the UK on A Taste of Honey, but there will be people who are like in like high institutes, high levels of learning, whereas Kunyaza is really people just want practical advice, everyday situations kind of thing. So it depends on the audience in terms of, I think, who are the people that appreciate which book more.
As I read the book and as I'm sitting here in the studio now, just going through the different chapters, you touch on it is an actual sex manual. I mean, you know, from the different chapters, chapter 6, female ejaculation, the G spot, climax, multiple orgasms, 14 types of female orgasms. I mean, it's definitely a book that I think that people can purchase and benefit, you know. But when I went through a whole lot of your videos in your audience and a lot of your talks, you know, a lot of these people, and correct me if I'm wrong, brother, they were not even of the Islamic faith, correct?
Yes. Yes. It's something which the people that have appreciated or asked me to speak are mainly non-Muslims, and that's why not to say I was like, I'll forget about Muslims, but that's why I was like, I'm just going to write a book that's for the mainstream. And then when I was picked up by a number of, like, I was featured on a BBC documentary about Kunyaza after they read the book, when that got a lot of interest, then all of a sudden the Muslims were now, okay, let me hear what you've got to say. And that's something that I think maybe for other Muslim sex educators, by word of advice, is that I think sometimes when you put like Islamic or Muslim whatever, Muslim writer, Muslim this, then all of a sudden a lot of Muslims would just criticize you and just want to see how quote unquote Islamic are you within the confines of halal and haram. Whereas if you're just a writer who happens to be Muslim, if your work is or your product is good, your service is beneficial, then the Muslims will gravitate towards you after. So that's something which I did a slight pivot from even my earlier works, which was about race and Islamic history. Instead of again put myself out as a Islamic historian or Muslim historian, I'm a historian who happens to be Muslim. And then all of us, and when again, like I said, it's unfortunate. I think maybe it might be an inferiority complex that a number of Muslims have, that when I got the quote unquote cosign from Muslims or white people, that's when a number of Muslims who I reached out to earlier was all of a sudden wanting to kind of speak to me. But I would say I'm mainly speaking about in the European context, because a lot of the love that I've received, even for A Taste of Honey, has been from Muslims either in the United States or in Africa. So I'm not saying, I'm mainly speaking about the difficulties I faced in Europe, not in America, because I was invited to speak about A Taste of Honey in, I think it was 2017, by Muslim Wellness Foundation, which is led by Dr. Camila, who's a brilliant psychologist, and Angelica Lindsay Ali was there, and there was other Muslim intellectuals like Donna Austin was there, and there's many people, but I did receive a lot of love from African Americans. Whereas in Europe, the Muslims, especially even the black Muslims, are a bit more prudish, shall I say.
Wow. You know, when I want to give out the telephone numbers, if people would like to call up and join us in this conversation, telephone number is 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065, or toll free at 1-866-361-0900. Islam teaches us modesty, you know, for men and for women. And when we look at men, the way our brains are wired, lack of better words, we see a woman and we're like, wow, that's it. You know, we go for what we see on the outer. The outer is our first attraction. Then we get to know the person, and, you know, we start to love them and care for them for other reasons. And this is not all men, but a great majority of the men, when you see her, bang, that's your first contact. Whereas though when we look at women, when women, their thing is more or less like, you know, they're more or less like, how does he treat me? How is he as a person? How's his character? How is he as an individual? How is he as a father? So we can see right there how Allah has really created the man and the women, and how different we are.
I would agree somewhat, but also would like to challenge you on a couple of points.
Okay.
I do agree in general, yes, men are more captivated by a woman's physical appearance, where women generally is by how a man makes her feel. But in saying that, I think it's important that we do not negate that women desire physical attractiveness in a man. And the best example I can give you is an example in the Quran. The only example of a story of when someone was captivated by someone's appearance, like physical appearance, by their beauty, that they wanted to initiate something, was a woman being captivated by the beauty of Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. So as men, as Muslims, we hear a lot about, the woman's appearance and how men are weak and things like that. They need to control their desires. But women also have those desires when they see a very attractive man. Mm-hmm. But women arguably do a better job in restraining and controlling their desires. Whereas as men, we've created a culture where men have kind of free reign. So I'm not saying that. So I think it's important we do acknowledge that women have those desires as well. So much so that a lot of men, they forget that's mentioned in the Quran, that it was a woman that was captivated by a man's appearance, so much so that she wanted to seduce him, not the other way around. We hear a lot about the other way around, but I do agree with you, for the large majority of men, that we are easily turned on. We see in a woman that we're attracted to and we're ready to, we're ready to go, so to speak. And there are hadiths which indicate this. So I'm not denying that, and I do think that's a reality. But also I think as men, we have to be aware that women are also attracted to and are captivated by a man's physical appearance as well. So, and I think the reason why it's important to show the other side is because a lot of men deny women's, like they feel as long as I'm emotionally there for my wife and I'm emotionally available and I'm providing for her, she's got no reason for her to look elsewhere. Not realizing that she might be, the woman might be a woman who desires physical attractiveness. She might be a woman who desires physical foreplay and things like that. But as men, we think that that's just something what the man likes. And there are many men who let themselves go after many years of marriage. And again, if the wife is a woman who she's not interested in the physical appearances and things like that, then that's fine. But if it's a woman who wants her husband to still maintain his look and still look, nice, then if she were to raise that, people would think there's something wrong with this woman because that's not unbecoming of a Muslim woman. But if a man were to say that, then we'll be like, oh, we know about the nature of men, the way men are. So I just wanted to, not that I disagree totally with what you said, but I just think it's important that we show the different spectrum of female sexuality. And that was something that a number of the scholars, there was a really fascinating book written in the 10th century called the Encyclopedia of Pleasure. And the scholar, he wrote at length about the different types of female desire. There are some women who are easily turned on by the way a man's handsomeness. There are some women who are, like you mentioned, who are more want the romance side and emotional connection and things like that. So there's a wide gambit of women. And I just think as Muslims, we've kind of just spoke about the woman who just wants emotional intimacy and she's not interested in physical intimacy, and we're doing a disservice to a number of women who want to be satisfied and who want their partner their husband to look good, but we don't expect the same, unfortunately, of men. So I just wanted to kind of say that.
Thank you. And the people are having a real field day here on Facebook Live. They have their own show going on within a show with their comments. So we thank everyone who's chiming in on Facebook. If anyone has a question or a suggestion, please call us up, 215-634-8065 or 1-866-361-0900. And for those that are on Facebook, chime in. Be part of this very well-needed, intimate conversation that we're having with our brother Habib Akande, who is, he's a sex educator, he's a writer, he's an author, and these two books, I really, really recommend that, you get these books, because A Taste of Honey, it's definitely a read. It's not an easy read. There's a lot of information in there. It's over 300 something pages. This book right here, Kunaza, is a very good book. It gives you an illustration of how to please your wife. Very good book. Very, very, very good book. Brother, I commend you for, being that bold individual to translate and write this book, both these books, in English, because it is well needed, especially here in America. We have other books that go into understanding your partner and sex and how to get him or her to that climax, that orgasm. But you came from an Islamic point of view. You were able to extract different things from the earlier scholars and Quranic verses and hadiths from Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and you were able to put together a very excellent work that is much needed. Have you ever been here to America?
Yes, I have. I was actually, I've been to America 3 times.
Okay.
Once, like I mentioned earlier, I gave a presentation on A Taste of Honey with a Muslim, I think it's called, I can't remember, I do apologize the name. It's a Black Muslim Psychology Conference, I think it was called, and it was hosted by the Muslim Wellness Foundation, that was curated by Dr. Camila Rashad. So I gave a presentation, and I've been to I can't remember the university, but I think it was in Detroit, or I know it was in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Philadelphia.
Okay.
I gave a presentation on another one of my books, which is looking at the history of African Muslims in Brazil. And I was actually supposed to be in the States in July, and I was supposed to be in the States this month, but I don't think I'll be able to travel because of the travel restrictions. So I'm due as soon as the travel restrictions open up, then I'm planning to do a few more workshops in the States, and it's on Kunyas, and a number of those workshops are actually going to be with non-Muslims, because I'm not trying to force my work onto anyone. So especially with books, I like it because hopefully, inshallah, it can be something that's going to be beneficial even after I leave this world, and people can benefit from. And I don't really want to be the face of speaking about Islam and sex. I'd rather people kind of benefit from the works itself. But I think some people, they want to see who the author is, or hear where he was coming from, or she was coming from. And a number of people who've asked me to do workshops have been non-Muslims, but if there are any Muslim organizations, I'm more than happy to kind of like partner up. And but I'm quite unapologetic. So, and I'm quite explicit in the sense that I'm speaking about sex. I'm not speaking about marriage. I'm not speaking about. The reason being is because there's many people more qualified than myself to speak about those topics. But when the topic of sex and sexual pleasure in particular comes up, we don't speak about it. We speak about sex in the sense of teaching our children not to engage in fornication. The issue of porn addiction. We speak about, a lot of problems and issues. But when we're speaking about the positives, the pleasures, and how you can sustain and experience pleasure, unfortunately, many Muslims were lacking in that regard in this public sphere, apart from the likes of the village auntie. So that's what, and I mean, for me, I'm inspired by, and I think Muslims, we should be inspired by our faith because it's got the best of teachers, which is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet was the most romantic man to walk the face of this earth. We don't hear about that. He was the sexual ideal that many of the early Muslim scholars took pride in. That this was a man who men respected and women loved and adored because of how he treated them. He wasn't someone who lied and deceived women. We like to talk about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam having a number of wives, but it wasn't the fact that he had a number of wives. It's that a number of women loved him, and women that didn't have to marry him, but they admired his character and the way he treated women. That's not something that we as Muslim men unfortunately aspire to. We just want the numbers, so to speak. So the same way when you look at the Kama Sutra, which many people don't realize is a religious textbook from a Hindu perspective, the same way when you look at the 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, which is from a Christian perspective because he's a Christian pastor, why as Muslims we can't be inspired by our faith tradition to speak about matters of love and intimacy and desire? So for me, I'm quite surprised somewhat when a lot of people are like, you're a Muslim and you write about sex. I mean, why shouldn't I be? Our Prophet taught pleasure equality. He taught the importance of satisfying women. So again, I don't need to go to modern Western sexologists like Dr. Ruth, all due respect to her, or Esther Perel, when I've got the best of examples in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the early scholars who were inspired by his work, his words, so much so that they wrote a number of books and sex manuals about sexual pleasure. So I just think if we were to go back to the source of our religion, we would find many people, and hopefully with my works, it will be a catalyst for other sex educators, sex thinkers and stuff to kind of write about different things from their own perspective. Because at the end of the day, I am a man and I'm speaking from a male's perspective. So there are blind spots that I have that, women will see, and they can obviously add their add gaps which I've maybe missed out, which I have missed out. So that's why I want there to be other Muslim sex educators to speak about this topic in a holistic way, because I think it's important and much needed.
Now, before you go, we got a couple minutes left. Can you let everybody know how they can get in contact with you, how they can get the book? Because as people are texting me right now, how can we get the book? How can we get the book? Let everybody know how they can get the book. The books.
Yes, shukran. So the books are available on Amazon. They're also available on my website, rabah.com, rabaah.com/store. And you can find me on Facebook.
Brother, go a little bit slower.
Oh, sorry.
That's
So
all
the
right.
books are available on Amazon, amazon.com. They're also available on my website, Rabah, that's rabaah.com/store. But you can readily find them on Amazon, like I said, and I'm on Instagram, Twitter, all the same handles, Habib, HABEEB_AKANDE. So Habib Akande. But again, you don't need to really follow me if you don't want to. You can check out the books on Amazon, like I said.
No, you are definitely a joy to follow, brother. And I've been, watching your videos to get a good feel of how you were with interviews, and I've enjoyed this interview very much. And I hope that the viewers and listeners were able to get something from the interview as well. And we have to have you back. We definitely have to have you back and talk about your other books that you have as well too.
Inshallah, barakallahu fiqh. I'd love to come back.
Inshallah. So I thank you so very much. May Allah bless you. May Allah give you success, and keep writing, brother. Keep writing, because there is a need to have the conversation that we had today, and we have to get beyond just having the conversation and just chat rooms and stuff like that. These are things that we need to discuss.
Barakallahu fiqh. I appreciate that. I will do. I'll try.
Yes, sir. I'll be in contact with you. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. That was Brother Habib Akande. I'm telling you, get this book. Get both books. Get both books. Get The Taste of Honey, and get both of them. I really recommend that you get these books, because they are a really good read for you to read. Okay? And on that note, I pray and I ask Almighty God Allah that if I said anything that was wrong, is from me, and if Brother Habib said something that's wrong, it was from Shaitan if we said something that was wrong. But if we said something that was right, it was from us. So we pray that you all enjoyed this show. And I encourage you, stay tuned for my good friend who's coming up next with the Recovery Hour, Mr. Rick Ford. Assalamu alaikum.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن لا